Yeah, 11 Alive John Sherrick joins us live now with the latest from Fulton County. What's going on there, John?
Fulton County Elections Director Richard Barron is about to give us a briefing on how the status of the Fulton County elections is right now as polls close in Atlanta. The final polls to close in Fulton County 1 hour later than the rest of Fulton County. Richard Barron will talk about exactly how the process has been going. He has said it has gone smoothly in Atlanta and in the rest of Fulton County throughout the day, except for a few relatively minor equipment problems that were addressed right away. Of course, Fulton County is under scrutiny, under state scrutiny right now, with a performance evaluation team, 3 members, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and 1 attorney from the Secretary of State's office, monitoring these elections to make sure that Fulton County's election processes have been corrected. And because of all the problems in the last couple of years, especially in June 2020, during the primary that year when lines stretched for hours at all of the polling places. Richard Barron is just off camera right now, and we're expecting that he will be addressing us in just a few moments to talk about the turnout, to talk about the vote counting process. What's going to happen here is that all the memory cards from all 257 polling places across Fulton County will be hand-delivered to this location where staffers will be electronically counting those votes. They have already scanned the 74,000 votes that were cast early, and they will begin tabulating those votes as well. And he thinks that we may have some results for Fulton County outside of Atlanta, maybe by 11 o'clock, and for the city of Atlanta, possibly around midnight. But he's got to turn these vote totals into the state by 10 o'clock, according to the new Georgia elections law. It's going to be a tight turnaround for the Fulton County workers to turn around those votes in 2 hours, but he says he thinks they can get it done. They have to get it done under state law. And we will be coming back to you live as soon as Richard Barron is here. Back to you.
Hey, John, Jeff Hullinger here. When I think about these kinds of events, and I think about Fulton County, and I think about elections, there are few reporters in Atlanta anywhere that have covered as many as you have. You know, we can talk about Fulton County being free of any issues now, but experience has taught us to expect the unexpected when it comes to Fulton County on election night.
Yeah, well, that is true. In fact, I can remember being at the Secretary of State's office at the state capitol one recent election year when there were more problems with Fulton County, and the Secretary of State at that time was just exasperated, pledging, promising, vowing, threatening to launch a state investigation then. So Fulton County has been the target of a lot of investigations. Richard Barron said today, we are used to being under the spotlight. We are used to being under the magnifying glass, if you will. So this current season that Fulton County is experiencing with trying to fix the most recent problems is nothing new for Fulton County. It's nothing new for Richard Barron or for the staffers here. Barron has told everyone, just focus on what we do, and we'll do our best at it. There is Richard Barron. Just to the left, Jessica Corbett is about to introduce him.
Go ahead and get started quickly. Good evening. My name is Jessica Corbett. I'm the Director of External Affairs for Fulton County. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight. We're going to hear very quickly from Kathy Willard, the chair of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections. She has another commitment, so we're going to have her go first. Chairman Rob Pitts is with us tonight, as well as Richard Barron, our Director of Registration and Elections. We'll hear from them and then take a few questions. Great, thanks, Jessica.
I know y'all set this up like a trick for me, right? So I could have to stand on my tiptoes. Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Willard. As Jessica said, I'm the chairperson of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections. Terry Crawford, who's also one of my colleagues on the Board of Registration and Elections, is back there. Aaron Johnson was here earlier. Dr. Kathleen Ruth was here earlier, and Mark Wingate was not able to be here tonight, but he is watching things. I think we've had a great day today here in Fulton County with the elections. I had an opportunity, I guess y'all know I've only been at this job for about 6 weeks, so everything I see is a little bit new to me. So having the opportunity to be at our call center and watch as information came in and things people needed, or if somebody was having an issue, and watching how we track that through our call center was both enlightening and reaffirming to me that we've just got a great operation here. I'm looking forward to the count, as everybody does on election night, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the Braves do. So it's a big night in Atlanta and Fulton County. And I've got to run off to another interview. I'll be back in a minute, but I'm going to turn it over to Richard Barron and Commissioner Rob Pitts to take us away.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Rob Pitts. I chair the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County, and this was a good day for us. I visited 25 precincts myself, and the problems, you really wouldn't call them problems. What I witnessed more when talking to poll managers, voters, is more internal issues that we need to address as we move forward. For example, people who had agreed to serve as volunteers or poll workers at the last minute didn't show up, or they came late, or they weren't dressed properly. There were a couple of issues with poll pads. Once that came to our attention, we addressed those issues. In fact, when I voted at my precinct this morning, my poll pad didn't work, so I had to invalidate my first card that I got another one. It was in the wrong way, and was able to vote without any problem. So I think overall we had a good day. There are some things that we'll have to clean up from an internal point of view, but from an external point of view, I think that there was very little that happened that would have upset voters. I never saw any long lines, and I went to 25 precincts, North, Atlanta, and South Side, so I'm pleased with what happened. You always heard me say this. I've been in a lot of elections. There's no such thing as a perfect election, but we're doing our best to make voting in Fulton County a pleasant experience, and for every voter to know that once their vote is cast, that their vote will in fact be counted.
Good evening, Richard Barron, Director of Registration and Elections for Fulton County. We had the 2021 general municipal election today. This was a countywide election. We had over 257 polling places open with over 2,000 poll workers working. Voting began on time at all of our locations. We had no significant lines at any polling place today. We did have some reports of issues at a couple of locations. One was at North Springs High School in Sandy Springs. The other one was at John Burdine Center in Atlanta. Both of those were issues with the poll technicians, and I went over that at the earlier news conference today. In both cases, the poll managers, though, followed the procedures on which they were trained. They processed the voters using the emergency paper ballots, and they continued to use those until the equipment issues were resolved. We had turnout was light but steady throughout the day, and we had 24 early voting locations. Early voting ran smoothly. 74,222 people voted early, and with Friday being our busiest day, this was higher than the 2017 general election when we had 40,209 people vote early at 18 early voting sites. This is consistent with the overall increase that we've seen with early voting in all elections since 2013. The commitment was to get more than 50% of the people voting early, and we succeeded with that last year, and I think we'll probably get close to that again today, which for a municipal election would be unique. We also had distributed a voter education mailer to all households to remind them to vote early. When voters vote early, we see smoother election days. We're confident that we're prepared to comply with all the SB 202 requirements on reporting tonight. The greatest challenge will be if any of the Atlanta precincts have lines, because we have only 2 hours to report those numbers on the Atlanta precincts versus 3 hours for everything outside of the city. About half of our precincts in Atlanta are in Atlanta, so that's a significant impact to operations. We issued 7,635 absentee ballots. As of 6 p.m., we'd received 5,177 of those ballots. We will have a runoff election in at least one of the municipalities, and the runoff date will be Tuesday, November 30th. We're going to certify the results for this election next Monday, and we will announce the early voting dates and locations at that meeting. And now I can take any questions.
As we get started, do you know if all of the Atlanta polls have already closed? Did you have lines? That's really
Well, at 8 p.m., the City of Atlanta precincts have closed. Right now, I don't have information if we have lines at any of those locations. But at 7 p.m., the locations outside of the city closed.
Mr. Barron, have you heard from the Performance Review Board, the panel, about any issues that they have seen that interest them or concern them today?
Well, I don't want to speak for them, but we've had Performance Review Panel members with us all day today. And so I would just let them speak for themselves.
Well, what are the issues that you think that they'll be looking at as you've done your work today and then as you continue on tonight? What specifically will they be looking at as far as your understanding goes?
Well, one of the members was in the call center with me and my staff all day, so he was able to see what kind of calls came in, listen to that, and see how we handled those. So I think that gave him a good idea. We have one of the other Performance Review Panel members. I know that he heard calls that would have come into the Secretary of State's office today, not only on us, but other counties as well. And then one of the other Performance Review Panel members, I think, visited some Election Day sites today and will be here tonight to see tabulation as it happens.
In addition to the importance of the results themselves.
You are listening into Richard Barron, the elections director for Fulton County, and other officials there in Fulton County, just bringing us up to speed on how this election day has been going. Jeff, I think the big surprise for me was hearing how big turnout was in early voting. Richard Barron comparing it to 2017 when there were 40,000 plus folks voting during that time, and we have more than 72,000 people who had voted early this time around.
We have been doing stories. Other stations have been doing stories. I've seen it in print as well, saying that there is fatigue about voting. I don't believe any of that among my neighbors, among the worlds that I run into in town Atlanta. There is great passion over some of these issues of safety. And I have to tell you, I saw some pretty big crowds today voting at Morningside Presbyterian, which I always think the Morningside vote kind of gives you a read a little bit of what's going on in town.